Welcome to the second episode of Biohacked. In this episode, let's talk about creatine. It's got to be one of the most popular, most studied, but also one of the most misunderstood supplements. There is so much hype and just as much confusion. So today, we're going to cut through the chase and we're going to tell you the real story. Our aim here is to separate the real science from all the pseudoscience. Okay, so before we can even get to what creatine does, we need to know what it is. Creatine is not some weird artificial chemical that is made up in a lab. It is an amino acid compound that your own body, your liver, kidneys, and pancreas are producing to every single day. You can also get it naturally from foods like red meat and fish. It is totally normal and a natural part of your body's metabolism. 95% of your body's creatine is stored directly in your muscles. The other 5% that is in your brain and other organs, which is a little hint about some of the other really fascinating benefits that we're going to discuss in a bit. So we all know it's natural, we know it's stored in our muscles, but how does it actually give you that boost in energy and brain function? Let's break it down. Think of ATP as the fully charged battery for your cells. Every time you lift a weight, do a sprint, or perform any kind of explosive physical movement, your muscles are burning ATP. It is the direct fuel source for all high intensity work. Now this is where creatine comes in and acts like a super fast power bank for your body. See, when you use that ATP, it turns into a drained battery cell called the ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate. Creatine, which is stored in your muscles as something called phosphocreatine. When your muscles are tired, the phosphocreatine instantly recharges that ADP right into ATP state. That's when you feel that little push physically and mentally. So, the benefits really come in a few key ways. First, the super fast energy recycling gives you a direct boost in strength and power. Second, creatine actually pulls water into your muscle cells. This hydrates the muscles, which is fantastic for growth. And this is why also people notice a little bit of weight gain when they start. And finally, remember that 5% stored in your brain? Well, new research is showing that it actually supports cognitive brain function, like short-term memory and processing speed, especially when you might be tired or sleep deprived. This is the part that I know a lot of people worry about. Let's tackle the biggest myths one by one and see what the data actually says. This idea that creatine is somehow going to wreck your kidneys is just so persistent. But it's also based on a really simple misunderstanding. The whole source of this confusion comes down to just two words that are exactly the same, or almost exactly the same: creatine and creatinine. Creatine is a fuel, the supplement you take for energy. Creatinine is just the harmless byproduct that is made when your muscles use that energy. So, naturally, if you take more creatine, you're going to produce a little more creatinine. So, you can see why someone might look at a blood test report, see elevated creatinine levels, and get worried, as it can also be a sign of poor kidney function. But in this case, it is not a sign of damage. It's just a sign that you're taking a supplement. Okay, then the second biggest myth is hair loss, and it usually comes from a false connection to steroids. This entire scare stems from one small study conducted in 2009. It showed a small increase in DHT, a hormone linked to hair loss. But the study found no actual increase in hair loss among the people taking it. And since then, the study has never been replicated. There's just no strong evidence there. Okay, so now that we have cleared the air around all the myths regarding creatine, let's get practical. How do you actually use creatine safely and effectively? You're going to see dozens of fancy products: HCl, ethyl ester, buffered creatine. The objective is to avoid all these distractions. Just stick with simple creatine monohydrate. It's one of those which is scientifically tested and it's proven to work. We also have enough evidence to provide that it's safe to consume. And the dosing. It could not be simpler for it. For pretty much everybody of all age groups, 5 grams a day is enough. You don't need more, and there's no point in taking less. Now, when you're starting out, you've basically got two ways to go about it. You can do a loading phase, which gets your muscles saturated faster, or you can just start with that 5 gram daily dose from day one. Both methods get you to the exact same place. The only difference is how fast you get there. Loading takes about a week, the other way takes about 3 to 4. And you don't need to stress about whether you should take it before your workout or after your workout, in the morning or the evening. It doesn't really matter. The benefits of creatine are built over consistent use. The crucial part is here consistency. Just make it a habit and consume 5 grams daily. So, we've covered what it is, how it works, we've busted all the myths, and we have talked about how to use it. But the final and the most important question is, should you consider taking it? And that decision really depends on your personal health and your goals. Now, while lots of people can benefit, the research really points to 3 group of people that can gain the most advantage. Firstly, the athletes, obviously for the performance edge. Second, older adults to preserve their muscle mass and support their brain health. And thirdly, and the most importantly, vegetarians and vegans, simply because they are not able to meet their requirements through natural means. So, to sum it up, creatine is one of the most safest and the most effective supplements on earth. It clearly and reliably improves muscle strength and performance along with brain health. It is absolutely not a steroid and it does not harm healthy kidneys. But just like with any supplement, if you have a pre-existing health condition, especially any kind of kidney issue, you should always consult a doctor first. But at the end of the day, the choice of whether or not to use is a personal one. It's based on you, but now you have the real story. You can decide what fuel makes the most sense for your goals. Thank you.